Guys, Chris here, Midlife Carpentry. Ever wondered what some good equipment stuff you should start with before starting an apprenticeship? Stay tuned. I'm going to go through some stuff that's important as a carpenter and probably applies to a few other little trades too. Yeah, let's have a chat about it in the next little installment. All right? Talk soon. How we going, guys? Chris here, Midlife Carpentry. It's a little bit glary out here today, just this afternoon, but I'm just going to give a quick run through today on some equipment that I think's handy and important when you become an apprentice. So I'm fairly certain some of this equipment is probably actually relatable to other trades as well, but I'm going to focus mainly on carpentry because I'm a carpentry apprentice. If you don't know, I'm a first year apprentice, adult apprentice, and yeah, still getting the hang of things. So there may be stuff in here that is completely random and doesn't make any sense to you why I would have it. But this is the stuff that I've found is handy and has been of use to me from the start, from the get-go. So yeah, let's not delay and we'll get stuck into it, eh? All right. So quite a few key items. Now, something I did want to bring up is that every trade will have their key tool, their item that's very important to them that they really can't do their trade without. So, for example, you know, electricians have probably maybe a screwdriver and a pair of pliers or something along those lines. Plumbers might be a pipe wrench or yeah, I don't know what else plumbers. Sorry, guys. Throw it in the comments if you can give me something that's pretty essential to you. Brickies, you know, it'd be your floats and stuff like that. You know, that sort of thing. So for us, for chippies, tape measure. Tape measure is probably one of the key important bits and pieces to being a carpenter. I think very important, or a builder across the board as well. Having a tape hanging off your hip or on your tool belt or within arm's reach is the way to go. That's kind of what you want to achieve, because you will always be taking measurements, whether it's quoting, whether it's actually doing work, whether it's finalizing things. Measurements must be taken. So always get yourself a tape. That's number one. That's your kicker. Get yourself a tape. Get yourself a decent one. There's a lot of them out there. I'm rolling the Fat Max. It's just something that sort of a lot of the guys use where I work, and a lot of direction sort of heads towards that way. I've been told it's actually handy for everyone to have the same tape measure, because some tape measures can be slightly different to a degree in giving measurements. So if your whole squad's on the same sort of platform to a degree, you know that everything's going to always measure up fine. So if, you know, you're seeing your chippies telling you out some cut measurements, you're going to measure up the same as what he's saying, and it's not going to be a few mil out. And probably not so much bad for framing, but when you're doing finishing work and stuff, you'll notice it. A lot more needs for gaps, or you'll be cutting again and double working and stuff, and you'll look like a twat, not your senior carpenter, of course. Yeah, I roll with two. I've got one on me at all times, my old one. That's the one I use, and that's always on my tool belt, or I pull it off, throw it on my belt, whatever works. Okay, and this one, brand new, leaves my glove box, just in case, because I have lost it before in amongst tools or left it on a job site or whatever, and you rock up to the next job, you haven't got a tape measure, you look like a turkey. Double up, I'd recommend it. Get two tapes. I know it'll cost a little bit of coin, but do it. Even if you buy a cheap one for your second one or something, just have something that'll get you over the line. Pencils. Pencils is another little staple for us, because we obviously need to mark it with cut, mark it, we've got to mark measurements and stuff, write things down, that sort of thing. So they're a constant use, not just for cuts, but also for writing and marking measurements down. Not a lot of guys carry pens. Most of them always have pencils. If you want to go as far as being flash and get a little Pica one, I'm finding this is good. I keep this in my little tool belt. I'll go through my tool belt later down the track, but I keep this in my tool belt. But realistically, I think it's more concentrated for fine work. So if you're doing skirtings, things like that, more delicate stuff, you want something more accurate, I'd go a Pica, just for the convenience of, you know, you can sharpen it, there's a little sharpener on the end of it. It's a pacer style pencil. Whereas if you're rough working, you're frame framework or anything like that you're framing up, I go your standard flat carpenter pencils. People say they're flat for not rolling off the roofs and things like that, so they don't roll away on you. And the other reason why they're flat is they're good for scribing and stuff too. So guys use it for scribing through benches and to walls and stuff like that when they're putting benches in, or cabinetry or whatever. So you can just use it to help scribe. So we'll do a video on that one day. I haven't had a great deal of experience in it, but I watched the guys do it the other day and it's really nifty. So yeah, pencils, good one. All right, let's get square, guys. A couple of options. There's plenty of options for squares. You see a lot of these out there, especially in our trade, as chippies. You'll see a lot of speed squares, they're called. I did a little video the other day. There you go, you can see I've got my measurements and stuff written up there. Yeah, so get yourself a speed square or a combination square. That's always handy too. So these are slide combinations. So the other good thing about the slide combination is obviously you can actually, you know, scribe a line down a board or something just by setting a measurement. So it makes that easy. And if you've got to try and line up a bench or whatever, that's not a handy thing to have. But yeah, speed square, obviously it's got all your dimensions for your roof pitches and all that sort of stuff as well too. So, but I haven't dabbled too much in that because most of the stuff is truss work these days, so everything's all pre-done. But yeah, I'll learn that later on, no doubt. A pocket knife of some description. I like to use this as knives with a Stanley blade because I always carry spare blades with me. So something like that, little pack of spare blades. Because through the day often you have time to sharpen things, to tighten things up. So your blade gets marked from cutting rock or whatever, or you've trimmed off something near concrete and it's gone sloppy. Then you can spin your blade around, or you could put a brand new blade in. So you can also get the style standard knife with a little Loctite on it too. So, and there's other guys. The other guys use a knife that's actually got the blade locked in place. So they actually have a holster for it on their belt, put their blade in, and then they work out of that straight away. The blade doesn't retract though. So be mindful of that, because obviously you can cut yourself, that sort of thing. So another key item, very much so, a hammer. As an apprentice, obviously not everyone's going to be able to afford an E-swing. They're about 80 odd bucks, 80 or 90 bucks in some places even more, depending on what you buy. But the reason why a lot of guys prefer the E-swing, one, it's a balanced hammer, which is nice. I have played with a couple of different hammers, and I do enjoy using the E-swing. It's funny that it's a preference now, but as you can see, it's all cast from one piece of steel, and that's the strength and durability of it. That means that it's nothing really going to happen. Your head's not going to fly off while you're slamming away up on top of a rooftop somewhere. The head isn't going to pop off and hit someone downstairs or anything. So it's all one solid piece. Obviously a rubber grip handle, you can get leather handles and stuff too, but a hammer, it's a good one. With a hammer, nail removing tools. You will make mistakes. You will hammer things in places you shouldn't. You may even use a nail gun and put a nail in the wrong spot. You need to be able to get that gear out. And there's a couple of ways you can do it. There's a lot of different tools out there. I keep pincers, and I also keep little cat's paw like this. It's handy for a lot of the finer work. And it's also handy for like a little pry bar or bodgy bar, whatever you want to call them. So to help you to lift bits of timber up, to line them up, or there's ways you can put a screw in this little slot too. So you have this little piece of timber and a screw in the slot, and it helps pull that piece of timber up as well. So there are lots of different ways you can use them. But yeah, that's what I roll. I roll with little sort of cat's paw, or there's another name for them too, I can't remember them. But if I'm saying these wrong, let me know, obviously, especially if you're out there in a chippy qualified and I'm being a twat, let me know. All right, so pincers or a claw of some description, or pry bar or something along those lines, I think it's handy. Next bit is a tool belt. Now I've shown you little videos and stuff of the tool belts in the past, but I think a tool belt is important as an apprentice. What you get though, I think is entirely up to you. You can spend quite a bit of coin on tool belts. You can get the top of the range, best tool belt in the world straight away if you want, or you could buy the cheapest low-end range tool belt just off the shelf, something simple and basic, give that a go first. All right, see what you like, see how you go with pouches and stuff, and then yeah, progress from there. Get something more expensive or whatever, get something better. Just remember though, your tool belt, most likely 9 times out of 10, if you're a chippy, you're going to be wearing that for a good chunk of your day. So to me personally, when I bought my belt, it was the fact that, okay, I'm going to be wearing this for close to 8 hours, 6 to 8 hours a day. I want it comfortable. So I went and purchased a big wide belt. I did go buckaroo, seriously, it's a preference. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you will get supplied by your employer, should I say. So your employer should cover you with a lot of safety gear. That is actually a requirement of them to supply you a self-working environment, all that sort of stuff. But you do have to take some onus on yourself. Okay, you have to take some stuff on board, especially if you go to the job site and you're out there on your first day and you haven't got a hat, you haven't got sunscreen, you haven't even got sunnies or anything like that. You haven't got any safety equipment at all. You know, check with your company, check with your employer, and say, hang on, am I going to need this gear out here? All right. And if you're unsure, if you think you need it, just take it. Like, that's all you can do. That if you don't need it, hey, great. You know, it's better to have it, not need it, than to need it, not have it. That's a pretty common one. So I go wide brim hat, definitely. You can use your trusty old Bunnings hats as well. They're around the place. But yeah, definitely a wide brim hat. Keep the sun off your face and everything. I still wear sunscreen. I have a collared shirt. We have long sleeve shirts at work. I wear long pants. I'll go through that as well with the whole tool belt thing too. I'll do basically what I kit up with in general, just so you guys can see what I use on a regular basis as an apprentice, I guess. Don't have to follow my lead, don't have to do any of the stuff I say, guys. Like, this is all just pure guidelines, just information. I'm just trying to split out because I could never find this when I started my apprenticeship. So yeah, so wide brim hat and trusty sunscreen. I just got this from the chemist. It's a few bucks. Work boots, that's important. Your employer may supply them, which would be great. That's good. Me, I've actually just recently purchased these on the weekends. I had a couple of pairs. I had a pair of shoes that were quite old. I've used them over the past few months. Realised, nah, they're not good for me. I'm spending, again, you're spending a lot of time on your feet. You're spending a lot of time climbing in and around joists and bits and pieces and moving around. So decent boots is important. They're very important to do. So I've gone a lighter colour. Hopefully they keep me a little bit cooler on the roofs or when I'm out in the sun. The last pair were black and my feet were cooking. So yeah, so boots are important. I bought these to remind me, socks. But on the other side of socks is jocks. That's the business, guys. Quality socks and jocks. Don't muck around with cheap crap. Get something decent. You are going to be sweating. You will. All right? Plus you got your tool belt on. It's not cool. You're out in the sun. It's hot. It's boiling. Yeah, things can get nasty. So spend that little bit extra coin. Get something half decent. Get some good socks and jocks. A good water bottle. A decent water bottle. So there's a lot of them out there. I think Yetis are the current fashion trend. This isn't a Yeti. I can't remember what brand this one was. Atlantic US. Yeah, I can't even remember. There was a sticker and stuff on it, but it's all scratched off. I've had this for years. This little water bottle. It is, what is that? 3.8 litres. So there's nearly 4 litres of water in this. It stays cool pretty much all day, even sitting in the sun, which is great. But I burn through this. I've had days where I've drunken all of this water and I've still needed more. I've filled up with a tap and stuff like that. So be mindful. That's 3.8 litres. That's nearly 4 litres of water that I've drunk in just a day. Just the hours that I work normally is when I've drunk this. So if it gets hot, you got to drink. You gotta keep drinking, guys. If you're thirsty, it's too late. Just do it regularly. Keep it close by. Cooler bag, guys, fantastic. This is the way to go. Throw a couple of ice bricks in it. Get some of those blue ice bricks and stuff you get from Kmart or whatever. Throw them in the freezer. Load them up in here, and away you go. Or you can have a fridge if you've got a fridge and you can afford a fridge. That's great. Otherwise, probably a harder case esky is probably a better way to go as opposed to a cloth bag one. But if you can only get a cloth bag one, hey, it's a start. It's still going to it's going to keep most of your stuff cool. Whereas most of us, we sort of eat smoke around that 10 o'clock mark anyway. So anything that you've got cold in your esky or in your little cooler bag, you know, eat that up first and make sure it's all good, and maybe keep all your apples and stuff towards the end of the day, where it doesn't matter too much if they're not quite cold. So yeah. Right, so there's a couple of key things I think that are important as an apprentice to keep you going. I don't think there's anything more that I really wanted to go through today with these items. There's something else I did want to bring up though, is in Australia you can get a little thing called a trade support loan. Now if you have started an apprenticeship or you're going to start an apprenticeship, I cannot stress this enough, get your trade support loan in. Get your application in, get your paperwork in, okay? Because something that wasn't explained to me is that it's actually based off the start date of your apprenticeship, okay? So if you're already 3 months into your apprenticeship, those first 3 months of that trade service loan you don't get, okay? So you lose out on those. So the only thing that you get is those next 3 months, you still get that installment, you get those installments. But if you've halfway through the first 6 months of your apprenticeship, you will not get that 6 months of trade service loan installments. You will only get those 3 months, and so on and so forth. That kind of makes sense. So the trade service loan works, you know, every 6 months you reapply for it. Okay, so it's not always ongoing. So keep on top of your paperwork, keep track of what's going on, and then make sure you get that money coming in. It was $723 or something like that. I'll clarify that. I'll shoot it up the top here. I'll put it in writing or something just to confirm how much it is per month. And that comes in on a monthly basis straight in your bank account. And it's a loan from the government. It's interest free and it's your money. Okay. You still have to pay it back when you reach a threshold, which is fine. That happens. But if you complete your apprenticeship, you also get a discount on that too. So I think it's 20%, which is pretty handy. I mean, it's money. It's money for jam. I mean, you are loaning it, yes, but you're not paying interest on it. It's interest free, and you get a bit of a discount back as well anyway of what you owe. So just by finishing the trade. So pretty good little incentive. Okay, guys. Well, look, I'm going to call it there today. Now, like I said, next week I am going to focus on the tool belt. I've had a bit of a request for it, so who am I to hold back on that? It's something that I'm fairly comfortable to be able to share with you guys now. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, so we'll get stuck into that one next week. Okay? Otherwise, that's me for today. You guys build on legends, enjoy yourselves. A big shout out to every apprentice out there. Every apprentice. I don't care who you are, what you're learning, what you're growing through. Every apprentice out there, good job. I'm with you guys. You know, we're getting stuck in. We're making the change. You know, it's important. Like, you know, whether you're starting from school based or whether you're cooking in the kitchen as an apprentice, it doesn't matter. Shout out to all the apprentices out there giving it a crack. Young, old, too old, whatever. Stick with it, guys. Get through it, and yeah, at the other side of it, it's definitely worthwhile. You know, you have that trade under your belt, and that's a game changer for you. That's national, that's worldwide, that's, you know, great skills to have. Okay, all right, I'll leave you all to it. You take care, and we'll chat again soon, eh? All right, see you guys. All the best, eh? Good on.